So much like the video where I said I was quitting Genshin, I soon after decided to delete the account I've had since September of 2020. This isn't clickbait, I'm not making this up. As of this month, my account is no longer available to log into Genshin Impact. All the money I spend to the game, all the characters, the weapons, the constellations, the talents, the builds, everything I had put time, energy, and money into has been deleted. The footage you're seeing right now is the last of what I had saved from editing Genshin content before deleting all of it too. There's probably a few questions I imagine people have, one of which being, why? To which, it's not like MiHoYo wants me to sell my account. I knew I wasn't going to make that money back anyhow. I didn't enjoy the game anymore, so I had two options. Either I could continue playing a game that I had no enjoyment for and continuously be in denial, or I could delete it and admit that the last 2 years of me playing this game were ultimately wasted. Either way, I didn't benefit from either option. The only silver lining is that one helps me move on and find other content to enjoy, which, if you've been paying attention to my main channel, I have said that I downloaded a plethora of games from a catalog this month, so seeking out new content has not been a problem. One question in particular did spring up upon this: do I hate Genshin? To which, no, I don't hate it, I'm just disappointed. When you put time, effort, and energy, and even money into something for a considerable amount of time, and don't see it being paid off in some way, it makes you feel like you wasted your time, and that's the worst feeling in this case. It's like riding a bike to the store, and the sidewalk being a treadmill that's pushing you back faster than you can move forward, and for days on end, you can't make it past that point. You keep going and going until you finally reach the store to only find out that it's been closed. There's another store available a mile down the road, except you have to deal with that treadmill walk for the whole way for a lot longer. Now in my case, I was more than willing to keep going. I made it through once, I can do it again. And I did. And every time another store would be closed, and the next one would be even further, and I'd have to do the same thing over and over again, until I found out there is no store to stop at, it just keeps going. Now after hearing this, I have two options. I can either head back and give up this wild goose chase, or keep chasing the goose for who knows how long to reach the end, if there even is one. A better term for this is sunk cost fallacy, which is the reluctancy of abandoning something due to how much investment you put into it, despite the fact that abandoning it would be the better option. Anybody playing games like Genshin and in the same position I'm in know what this feeling is. It's not a desire for something like making what we initially enjoyed something it's not for the sake of enjoying it more. It's wanting to enjoy what we have and then some without apathy, really. With Genshin, the issue, at least for me, lies in the gameplay. Not anyone who says that the game has good story and lore in response to this when I bring up why I quit Genshin, you'll either find me talking less to you or just ghosting you entirely. Because let me tell y'all something. If I wanted to get invested in something solely for the lore and story, I'd watch it, I'd read it. A game of this caliber needs interactive gameplay, otherwise it's not going to be an enjoyable game. That's why personally I'm excited for the Genshin Impact anime. Because if people are right in saying that, the story and lore are actually good, well then I can have the anime to actually watch the story and lore. People can deny that this game is focused on gameplay all they want, but why else has there been videos recommending character builds? Why else has MiHoYo continuously released weapons and characters and new artifacts and talents? If this game was solely about the story and lore, there wouldn't be a need for all this. There wouldn't even be a need to make it a gacha game. Just make it a visual novel, and you can get all the story, lore, and characters you want without worrying about any of that. My lack of enjoyment for Genshin doesn't come from that. It comes from a gameplay and combat loop that doesn't make me feel like that time and energy I put into the game was paid off. Especially since this game's idea of strengthening enemies is to increase their stats and give them more health. This is what a lot of RPGs with leveling systems get right, keeping enemies at the same levels, but rather changing the type of enemies you come across. Their style of fighting, their own gimmicks to go against, it makes you feel like you're getting somewhere with your progress. Genshin has the elements to do the same, it just doesn't, not really. Sure, other enemies from other regions will be in higher level, but they don't stay that level. Rather, they go up the more you level up. And here's the thing, when it comes to combat, giving lower level enemies a bigger health box and building their stats, all it does is just make the game longer. Now, when you incorporate newer enemies at higher levels with different combat abilities, it has the potential to challenge the player, and defeating them feels that much more satisfying. Whenever I was fighting hilichurls or slimes around higher world levels, I never felt like I had gotten stronger, I just felt like the numbers got higher and that's it. There has to be more than simply characters and story for lore, or even music for me to willingly want to continue going back to the game. For example, take Hades. Now, Hades is a vastly different game and works on a different level, but outside of that, I have had that game for at least over a year, going on 2 years now, and in that time, I have been taking breaks from week to month long, sometimes more than a month. But every time I come back, you know how I feel? I feel like I'm having a fun time consistently. From refreshing my mind on how I defeated prior enemies, to taking on enemies in new ways, Hades constantly to me felt like a game I could put down and come back to and still be challenged, but also feel like I've gotten much better at with time. The first time you do anything, you're understandably unsure and nervous of a lot, but when you've put time and energy into it again and again and come back to it, that feeling doesn't stick. Genshin? Every time I've put it down, I didn't feel like there was much of a difference between less than a year into playing the game and playing it after 2 years, because what it's doing isn't progression, it's power creep. But I kept playing it because I wanted to believe that this game was fun and it was enjoyable, but now I just can't bring myself to do that anymore. So I decided to keep it like that and deleted my account. And then there's also the question of, will I come back to Genshin? I mean, I don't know. Not really, honestly. Technically speaking, I do have a sub account, but I haven't played that since Inazuma got added, and even then, I wasn't even finished with the Liyue story. And even then, it felt like I was having more fun on my main, because farming for characters that didn't feel like the game region locked me. I'll probably delete it anyhow. Genshin honestly has not made me want to come back to it in any regard anymore. And I don't care about the, have you heard about the new patch? They added new content for endgame players that'll occur within like another 2 years down the line, supposedly. Like, if that even happens, like, I just gotta say it's too late. The game has been out since 2020. I'm not gonna hold my breath on whether or not it'll become better than it is now. Back in the day, it was fun, honestly, because it was all new. All we had back in the day were Mondstadt and Liyue, and in between the story, there were characters, puzzles, and banners to wish on. It had its issues, but the game was still fun and enjoyable, but as time went on, my apathy for the game just festered and grew. And considering the game's fanbase is so insecure that they take someone else not having fun with the game as an attack on them and just go, well, we should be thankful for what we've gotten, or this game is fun, you just hate playing it, or that's just your opinion, and so on and so forth. Basically narcissism mixed with gaslighting. I might as well say this, I don't give a fuck about what you like. It's not my job to care about your likes or dislikes. Cry about to the people in your life, keep it out of mine. If you still like playing Genshin, that's your call. I know someone who, when I had decided to stop rolling on banners after getting Klee, basically convinced me to get Ito, and soon after I had started putting money into this game every month for characters I wanted. To this day, he still plays the game, spending money for characters he wants. I haven't said anything about it, cause, well, that's his choice. Do I think it's a good choice? No, but I'm not about to stop him, that's his call. I trust that if he really didn't want to play the game anymore, he'd stop. If he goes rogue doing it, that's his fault and he should seek help. And then there's the question of, if I don't like Genshin anymore, why don't I just play another game? Which, yeah, I've already been doing. In terms of gacha and whatnot, I've looked down other routes. I've tried Tower of Fantasy, but it doesn't want to play on my computer. It just constantly crashes. Then there's Punishing Grey Raven. I like the combat fine, but I've hit that wall in the game where I can still enjoy myself fine, but I'm lacking the motivation to keep up with the game. There is one remark I've gotten after I said that I've been done with the game, and that is essentially now I've learned for future investments due to quitting Genshin, which is just condescending. I've been playing games for 20 years as of now, and I mean, like, I started playing games like GTA 3 when I was 3 years old and Borderlands when I was like 12 with my brother. I've played through a wide catalog of games over the years, and when it comes to Genshin, I can say that at the start it was legitimately fun, and over the years it still was. But not every piece of entertainment is going to continue being enjoyable. The game only really cares if you're sticking with it every month or so, sticking with the limited time events, sticking with the new characters added, sticking with making sure you're doing your daily to weekly events. For me personally, it has become less of an enjoyable time to play the game and more of a job where I pay them instead of the other way around. Maybe some people can afford to do that out there. I can't. Not anymore, at least. When your game has all of this other content to enjoy, and the only other thing after a certain point that can give someone a dopamine high is burning money consistently on an RNG system, that's not an enjoyable gaming experience. That's a gambling addiction.